Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kobold Chats. My name is Kendrick or Kendo, whichever you prefer, and it's another Friday, and I get to spend it with all of you, talking about some of my favorite stuff in the world, and that's the stuff coming out of Kobold Press. And today, it is not just me. Oh, I'm a little low in this picture. Hold on. I've been having issues with my chair. It's getting too low. It's a whole thing that I'm fixing, but we're not talking about that today, because today we are talking about what's coming in the Player's Guide 2. And today I am joined with one of the designers who helped make some of those goodies you all have been chomping at the bit for, and that's Sarah Madsen.
Hi.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining me.
Yes.
I mean, God, what can I say other than when I first heard that there were going to be new base building rules in the Player's Guide 2, I was so incredibly excited. As you know, we've had our scouting party talk. That'll be coming out next week. But this is to give people the chance to ask you about, hey, what are these new base buildings things that I've been seeing in the preview for Player's Guide 2? And if you haven't seen the
hmm
preview, please go check out the preview, which you can go find over on the Kickstarter page. It's so easy for you to go find it. In fact, I'm gonna give you the link right now. It's gonna be even easier. You can open it up and have it open while we're having this conversations. And if you have any questions, hey, you can let us know, because this is going to be a Q&A, so you'll get, your chance to ask your questions if you have them. But as always, I get to ask mine first, because that's the privilege of being a host. So, Sarah, what are, just getting us started, what are these base building rules for the Player's Guide 2, and how do you hope for them to be integrated into everybody's games?
So, I mean, the base building rules at their very core are, what it says on the tin. It's how to build a base for your players to sort of call their own. So you have sort of a home base to come back to between adventures. It provides you as PCs with opportunities to use many of the downtime activities that you find in the player's handbook. Some of the expanded downtime activities that you find in the Game Master's Guide, as well as potentially in the player's guide too. You can hire people on. You obtain to start with, you obtain a starter base, right? So you
Right.
you obtain sort of like your fixer upper that your GM can give you either through for story reasons. It could be a quest reward. Whenever they feel that you have earned this little starter base, you get a little place to call your own. That probably needs some work. And then you can put some money and some elbow grease and some downtime into fixing this place up, installing facilities like if you want an arcane laboratory or if you want a blacksmith, um, you can install those into your base. You can hire people to come work those facilities for you. So if you know you're going to be off on an adventure for the next, couple of weeks and you want somebody to come in and work on making some fancy armor for you while you're gone, you can slot people into that and they can work on that while you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's also a really interesting and fun storytelling opportunity, both for the PCs and for the GM, um, because it is this fixer-upper that exists in the world before the PCs came into it. And in fact, the PCs may have had a hand in recovering it, or um, like I said, quest reward stuff. So it could be that, you came in and cleared out a bunch of goblins out of this keep. And in reward, you get to have this crumbling, formerly goblin infested keep. But yay! But there's stuff that existed there before you came. And so the GM has this opportunity through something I call hidden mysteries to sort of seed in little potential story bits, potential quest hooks for future quests,
Mm-hmm.
just fun little elements that you kind of uncover as you are improving and expanding upon your base. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like the thing that I love about all of that is like as you were saying, like these are really good story hooks for both players and GMs because it like the base is kind of like an evolving thing just like the players are, right? They're
Hmm.
supposed to get it in this space where it's like, oh, it's maybe like a little worn down, you have to fix it up, which gives hopefully the player's incentive. Well, I don't just want to live in this like crumbling keep for forever, right? That's not the most useful for us. So we've got to fix it up. And over the course of
Hmm.
that, you get those hidden mysteries, which maybe makes them engage with it more than just a place where they keep all of their stuff.
Yep.
Which is, and like, how did you go about trying to find ways to make sure that there was, I guess, a little something for every kind of character, right? Because there are going to be different classes want different amenities and different facilities, and different
Hmm.
backgrounds might need different things and stuff like that as well.
So part of what I did was I did go through the downtime activities that you can find in the player's guide. And I kind of considered, what those things would look like in a home base type situation and what those things would look like for different classes and different character concepts. Because you're going to have your fully martial characters who
Mm-hmm.
are going to want things like a training yard. They're going to want things like a smithy where they can get, weapons and armor. But then you're going to have your arcane types who are going to want that library. They're going to want the place to make potions and make magical items.
Mm-hmm.
um, you're going to have your social character. So I really, because, a lot of times we forget about a lot of the like social aspects of the game sometimes. And I'm a big role player. So I really wanted to make sure there were those elements. So I considered, if I was more of a social character, if I was a kind of person who would pull on influences and the people I knew,
Mm-hmm.
um, what would I want? And so, you have the opportunity of building like a ballroom where you can carouse with the upper class. You can build a tavern where you can carouse with the lower class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can hire servants in that. Then, if you're hosting this big fancy ball with all of these really important people, you have servants who can come eavesdrop and potentially collect rumors for you to then act on. Um, but also I play rogues a lot. So, I considered, what would somebody who was kind of in the seedy underbelly look for? Um, that's where I came up with the concept of the skulk, which is basically like a little thieves guildy, type of hidden location where you can then bring in other seedy underbelly types to come and make poisons for you or go, maybe out and do some spying for you. So I really kind of tried to get my fingers into something that everybody would be interested in. Um, because there are so many different types of characters and different types of players who want different things out of things like base building.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what I looked at. So,
Yeah, love that. Oh, we've got a question here. Give me oh no, I went to the wrong thing. Here it is. How did you decide what to expand on versus change compared to base building rules from other games and like other things that have existed even for 5e?
yeah, so I definitely looked at other base building mechanics that are out there from other games, and things that get really nitty gritty. And the primary thing I think that, when I was talking to Celeste about the base building rules, the thing that she and I both agreed a lot on is we didn't want to get too caught up in like the nitty gritty mechanics of things. We
Mm-hmm.
wanted there to be enough mechanics that, it makes sense. You have guidelines, you know how to implement it. But we wanted it to be, she and I were both on the same page as far as like the storytelling hooks, a place that served as inspiration for you as a player, for your
Mm-hmm.
characters, that allows them to both explore elements of themselves that you don't normally get to do when you're out on the road, um, constantly, and
Right.
then you have your, your 2 weeks or your month between adventures where you sort of oftentimes you sort of gloss over what happens, whereas having a base, you have the ability to sort of really kind of play around with that downtime. Um, and just we all want a place that's our own, right?
Yeah.
And that really is sort of like one of the fantasies that you get to live out
Is that,
in
yeah.
D&D is I have my own house. I can do what I want with it. Um, but that sort of almost childlike glee of I'm gonna build a fort and it's gonna have all these cool things in it. And so that was kind of where I was going. I didn't want mechanics to get into the way of the fun, I
Yeah.
think was where I was coming from. And so that's kind of was my philosophy when I was designing these.
Yeah. And like I agree. Anytime there's a game where it's like, okay, you get your own house now and you do get to decorate it. It's like, well, the Skyrim expansion that added like all of the new houses, of course I was building mine
Yes.
from scratch. What are you
Yes.
talking about? It's yeah, there's something about gamers getting a house that feels really good. Um Another question here. Um, Wait, sorry. Oh no, we kind of already asked this question. Oh yeah, no, that is just kind of the question I asked. So I'll ask a different question. And don't forget, everybody, if you have questions, please feel free to send them. Um, one of the things that I really like about the starter bases, is the like each of them have their own existing facility that's already a part of it. And like you can choose, and at least in the preview it shows like, oh, if you're getting like the derelict manor, you can choose between the parlor or the keep as like the thing that still exists. And I'm interested in like when it came to breaking down like facilities and trying to match them with some of the starter bases. What were the key things, like for like let's say the crumbling keep, right? There's so many things that could exist in there. How did you come down to, well, if you're getting it, you're probably starting with either the forge or the training yard?
So part of that was kind of some of them didn't have obvious answers, right? Like you were saying, where there could be so many things in there. Some of them had more obvious answers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was kind of looking at the obvious ones and then making sure I filled in kind of the gaps with some of the others where it was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, I don't want every single one to be, you have a library or you have a forge. And so
Yeah.
kind of keeping the variety in there, while still making sure it made sense from a sort of a thematic perspective. Um, and yeah, kind of just, if you were starting with, the crumbling keep or whatever, it's like this is
Mm-hmm.
what will you expect to find there. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I love, my personal favorite here is that you can own a theater. Which like of like, hey, I'm an adventurer and I'm a hero. It's not like usually top of my head of like I'm going to own a theater, but now I want to be a bard who owns a theater.
Right? Well, and that's, again, like I was trying to think of all the different character concepts and like what you might want to do. And, it might be you have a bard and their great, grand personal quest, personal goals for their life is, I want to be the greatest bard ever known, or I want to like, own a theater with this performing troupe that, you can then use for other things. It doesn't have to be simply, there's downtime activities you can do there. So,
Right.
um, made it useful, but also you can do so many cool things with the fact that you have a theater. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was going for.
that's really good. One question here is, talking about the base building and the hirelings. What were some of your inspirations for the types of people that you might be able to find who could come and work on your base if you would like?
Yeah, so when I was looking at the hirelings, um, which I called personnel in my draft. I'm not sure what it ended up being called because sometimes those things go through edits,
I think they're
but
called workers now.
workers now. Okay. That, you know, I- honestly, a lot of what I did with that first was going through and figuring out what all of the different facilities were that I wanted to be able to have um, in a keep or
Mm-hmm.
in a base, excuse me, and then sort of thinking about the kind of people that would work in such a facility and what would they do. Like when I came up with the idea of having, you have stables, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have horses, you're gonna have stables, and I'm like, oh, but how can we make that interesting in a way that's not here's a place where you shove your horses, and then end of the day, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought a lot about like, well, we need to have a stable master that comes in and takes care of the horses, and that way you don't have to do that. But also,
It's a person now.
it's a person that can come in and then train your animals so that they're not just sitting there eating grain.
Mm-hmm.
you know what's something interesting that this person can come in and do rather than just being a little placeholder that like boop, yes, we have a stable master and it takes care of our horses. Like, what else do we want to invest in? So like when I was putting in the idea of like the greenhouse and things like that, I'm like, you can have a gardener that comes in, but then also what else can they do? They can grow plants for you, but maybe if they know what they're doing, they can grow poison plants for you, and things like that. So, and then in some cases, the facility sort of came after the inspiration of um, the
The worker.
the worker.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to have somebody who, I don't remember specifically, but it would be cool to have somebody who does X. But where would they fit into that sort of ecosystem? And I'm like, oh, I can make a place that allows you to do these other things. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's I really like that. And like again, having the additional like story beat there of like there's now a person here that is interacting with all of us, training our animals or like watching over. And like anytime I'm on downtime and I want to hang out with someone, now I have a potential person that I want to hang out with. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you have a hireling who ends up having like an issue that's like, hey, actually I kind of need some help. This is I know you're my boss. This is a little embarrassing, but goblins did overrun my house, and they did steal some stuff, and I would like for you to get them back for me,
Could
please,
you
if you could.
please maybe help? But I mean, I think too, like so many of us, we end up when we're playing in campaigns, we end up with our favorite NPCs, our favorite shopkeeper that we either talk to or harass or whatever all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that you could then go to them and be like, hey, I really like your stuff, you should come work for me, and I'll provide you with a shop front, and then you can provide me, like, and you can kind of work that in. So not only do you have your favorite NPCs, but now they're there all the time and you can go
Yeah,
talk to them. And like you said, though, there you can, they might have things that come up, they might have personal problems, there might be quests that get kicked off because you have the specific person working for you. um if you like poached them from the other magician down the street, I mean, that might be a whole thing where they get mad and they're like, it can cause a whole ripple effect. So yeah,
yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
yeah. No, that's really good, and I like and again another thing that I really love in video games when they give me a camp and then I slowly get to see it get filled with people that I picked up along the
Mm-hmm.
way,
Mm-hmm.
and just like it create like the bases for this feel so intertwined with the like fiction of what is happening. It almost really makes me want to start games purely with this as like the kind of core of like, okay, you all have just started, for one reason or another this place has been bequeathed to you. Maybe you started off and you had to immediately save this place, whatever it is, and then like just watch as this base gets built up and the players grow and come to love it, and all the people that end up like sharing the space with them, and like for every person who's been like, hey guys, what if we just bought a tavern and had that be the game? Like, this kind of feels like it would allow for that and not just have that be a backdrop, but like the act of
Mm-hmm.
building this place up in and of itself can be the story, right?
Right.
Where, hey, the reason why we're going on quests because we need money to fix up to fix up the inn that we got,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. It's
it
like and that's the thing too is the base building definitely kind of turns into a money sink at a certain point, which is, at a certain point when you're adventurers, you have more gold than you know what to do with. Well, now you have something to do with it. You can
mhm.
expand your base, you can hire people on, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. And yeah, I definitely love the idea of all of those different story hooks. And like you said, the concept of like the tavern is the campaign.
Yeah.
um so and I definitely there's elements, and I don't want to give away too many of the hidden mysteries because they're hidden mysteries, and I don't want everybody to know what they are all the time because then the GM doesn't have any fun. But there's certain things that you can uncover that then you can then expand upon or might have interesting um things hidden in them, or like we said, story prompts, but also there's a lot of really fun stuff that you can get from
Mhm.
investing the time and the money into expanding upon your base. Um,
Yeah.
so hopefully that's exciting.
Yeah, I love the example in the preview, which is the Mystic Spring, which like, you know, you're cleaning out a room in one of your places, and oh, you find this spring of bubbling water, and like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, yeah.
And like depending on which way that goes, right? Because the GM, supposedly like rolls to figure out what the spring's properties are, right? Like those are very different stories, like
Hmm.
depending on which way you go with it. And like I I mean, I don't know. I just really want to know all the hidden mysteries now and just like see like, oh man, like what does it even feel like? It's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for bases.
Well, and that's the thing, like even with the spring too, is like it could be so many different things. So it could be, something in the basement of your keep that's sort of been built up almost like a well. It could be something that if you have a large property, like if you have like a sprawling manor, it could be kind of hidden behind, a forgotten shed in the sprawling manor, and that you come upon it and it's like brackish and awful, and then you have to clean it up and figure out what it is. And so there's like so many different ways. I
Mm-hmm.
tried to make sure that I had enough in there that there was inspiration, but enough flexibility that the GM could really sort of implement it in all sorts of different ways. So,
Yeah. Because like the spring pops up, but it doesn't tell you where does the spring come from, right? The
hmm.
GM gets to fill that in, and the
Yeah.
players get to go and explore that. Or maybe it's obvious, depending on what story they're doing. But again, it's up to each individual table to figure that out for
Yep.
themselves. Um, oh, this one's fun. Eric asks, what would your favorite base be for a character that you would have, or
Oh,
maybe a
my
character that
favorite.
you do have?
Oh, I really love the whole like big, giant, sprawling manor house
Mm.
personally. Like that's always fun to me. Like almost like a Beauty and the Beast castle kind of deal where you got like you can't go in the West Wing because there's
Right.
bad things in there, or like the West Wing is just falling apart because nobody's been there for 30 years or whatever. And so there's where there's sort of that opulence covered in dust aspect,
Mm.
where there's you know hidden secrets and who knows what behind boarded up doors and things. So yeah.
Yeah. God, I think mine would be maybe the abandoned lighthouse or the theater. I think
Yeah.
there's something about an abandoned lighthouse, and I love that it comes with either a chapel or a library. Um, oh no, yeah, no. I think I would go with the abandoned lighthouse. I've had an NPC who is a a very low level magic practitioner who was also the like keeper of this lighthouse and a part of this guild of librarians, and he was a very fun NPC. And I think I would love to play him and actually have this lighthouse.
Well, I mean, what better way to have people leave you alone so you can study in your
Exactly.
wizard tower than have it be this isolated this lighthouse? And they're like, no, nobody come out here. This is terrible and awful, and it's cold and wind and
There's
rain. Ah.
yeah, don't come here. I'm just trying to cozy up by the fire, read a book and have some tea. Please stay away.
Yep. Oh, the
um
sound of waves while you're reading. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oof, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I mean, so aside from the base building rules, because we can talk about that all day. You also worked on some of the like, God, I don't even remember. Celeste told me the number of spells that are in this book. It's so many, but
It's so many.
you
Yeah.
worked on quite a few of them. What are some of your favorites that you worked on? And
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
let's start with your favorites.
Oh man, they're all so good. So I did a lot of weird spells and a lot of
Oof.
primordial spells, simply because we were looking at sort of where some of the gaps were
Mm-hmm.
previously. So I got to do a lot of really fun, weird, weird spells. Um, One of the ones, and I think it actually got mentioned in the Kickstarter as in the stretch goals, was Necrotic
I
Pustules.
was going to ask if you were the one who did that one.
Yeah, that was me. It's kind of what it sounds like. Right? What's on the tin? It's you curse or you hit somebody basically with this disease. If they fail their saving throw, they get necrotic weeping sores that just burst open, and it's really gross. Um, and but not only do they take like necrotic damage and everything is awful, like as the duration goes on, anybody within 5 feet of them also has to make the saving throw when they start their turn, or else they also get it. So it's sort of like this ever expanding plague like grossness. And yeah, sorry, it's gross, but yeah.
No, it's so good though. When I when I saw, I love this idea of this spell that could like just slowly keep going. And I think
Hmm.
there's I mean, whenever we think of oh, what is it that villains are doing, right? Whenever they're like, oh, they're bringing a plague about some place, or oh, they're doing some curse. I always feel the base spell list from 5e has always been lacking, and well, I always have to make up something that the evil wizard is doing that feels like, oh, all of these things that we hear about in fiction. And so when I immediately saw, oh, this is the plague spell that the that the liches cast to wipe out
Yeah.
it's it's a fun spell for players to use, but for GMs this also is oh, this is I can use this as a hook for an entire adventure. You
Yeah.
show up to a town and you find that people are having problems with there's people have all these weeping sores and it seems to be spreading and no one knows how to stop it, right? It's a great story hook as well as a devastating
Yeah.
spell, I feel.
And I also had a bigger one, like a high level ritual spell that's called Plague. Well, also have, let me see, hang on. Where did it go? I gotta look it up. Ooh, I have one that's high level and it's called Hostile Environment.
Ooh.
Um, and it's currently ninth level. We'll see where it ends up in after all the edits. But it's basically you turn the land against somebody or particular creatures. So if I'm like, I am here, it's primordial, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you're like a druid or whatever, you can basically be like, no, the land now hates you in particular, right? You. So like any beasts in the area, like in
Mm-hmm.
the how big is this? I don't even remember. It's large, very large area, but any beasts within the area become hostile toward the person. So like if you're targeting a particular person, or like goblins, I keep picking on goblins today, but like, you know, they become hostile toward them and they'll hunt them down. You have disadvantage on anything involving like climbing checks or swimming if you're trying to like get across a river, or you're trying to get up a cliffside. The land itself is basically like, no, no,
No.
mm-mm, mm-mm,
That's
mm-mm.
so good. And
Um,
again, another spell that I can, yeah, sure, players could use it, but a ritual that an NPC uses against the
yep.
players.
Yep.
That's so good. And it takes up that fiction of these are the powerful magics that, you know, that people would be using to either protect or destroy, their
Mm-hmm.
enemies, right? Like if they're like, I mean, obviously I can see like hostile environment being used of like I have to protect this area from, XYZ. I'm making it specifically against this army of people, or
Mm-hmm.
like, it's where did some of the inspiration come from for a lot of these spells, like be it
Oh gosh.
media or like just like moments and things that you've really latched onto?
So that's always a hard question because
Fair.
sometimes it's just desperation.
It was like I need something, so here it is.
I need a spell. Oh God. But no, like I mean, a lot of what, this is just thinking like, what would be really cool or really awful if I were, both as a GM and as a player, like what and looking at what already exists and seeing sort of where the holes are that you can sort of fill
Hmm.
um with some fun effects. Um I know for this one, along with a bunch of the weird and primordial spells, I did a bunch of like aura and smite spells as well,
Mm.
because we felt like we were sort of lacking there. Um, so I have one that's like a high level aura spell. That's basically it's called Aura of Death. And so basically every, it within a certain, radius of you, um, if creatures of your choice, if they get hit with an attack, they take the full damage from that attack. So it's kind of like the opposite of oh, I just blanked on the name of the spell, but the spell that allows you to get full healing and you get
Oh,
advantage on death saves.
circle of life.
Oh, anyway, the one that gives
Yeah.
you get full healing, you get advantage on death saves. Well, this is the literal opposite. You get disadvantage on death saves. You take
Hmm.
full damage from spells with the creatures that are around you. Um, and so it was kind of filling holes. It was kind of thinking of cool, fun, cinematic stuff that could be neat, but also subverting some of the existing concepts of like, well, there's this really cool spell that does all of this nice, happy stuff. Like, what if it did the opposite and it was terrible? Um, so yeah.
Yeah. What are there any spells that you worked on that you think uh people aren't expecting? Like something that it's like, oh, this is like coming completely out of left field. Or something that like pleasantly
Hmm.
surprising them.
Oh, I don't know if I have any pleasant things in here.
Fair. Well, pleasant for the GMs maybe.
Hmm. Let's see. I've got a fun one.
Hmm.
Um, I just lost it. Where did it go? Oh, okay, there we go. It's called Inter. And it's a primordial spell, and it basically allows you to bury your enemies in the very ground that they stand upon. So
Hmm.
you basically churn up the earth beneath them, and if they fail their save, they get fully buried in the earth, and then they have to either dig themselves out or get dug free. Um, yeah,
That's so good.
yep, yep.
That's so good. Oh, we have a question. Uh, are there any spells that you made just because you wanted to use it?
Oh gosh, honestly, all of them.
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, I generally want to make spells that I want to use.
Hmm.
Trying to scroll through these to see if I have any ones that specifically are jumping out at me. Um, but oh, I mean, Pluck Soul, I definitely made
Pluck
for me.
soul.
Yeah. It's basically like a soul steal spell where you can just reach out and pull the soul out of, a humanoid that you can see. Um, and you stick it into a little, it's kind of like a little bit like Soul Cage, but you
Mm,
don't have to wait. You can just be like, no,
just
you're gonna go right in here right now. That's it. That's all we're gonna do.
oh my
And then
god.
you can use it to, like, heal yourself by consuming the soul, or you can be kind and let it go later if you want, I guess. So yeah,
That's so
that was for me.
good. I love that. I think that one's for me too. Because every single spell that you said here, my immediate thought was, oh, I could see how an NPC would use this, or I could see how this singular spell is a hook for an entire adventure. Pluck stall,
Hmm.
haha, Duke. I just pluck the soul out of your air. Now do all these things for me, or
Yep.
I'll eat your or I'll eat your kid's soul.
Tasty.
And it's like it's thank you so much for making my evil heart feel joy once more.
Yeah.
And
I
make
swear I can do nice things sometimes, but
hey,
that's not fun.
you know, we choose to be adventurers because we want to fight bad things and things that
Hmm.
suck sometimes. So
Yep. Yep.
that means we have to make the things that they suck that sucks. So well, unless anybody else has any other questions, please send those in. Oh, we've got one more. The Kickstarter closes in a week. Will we be able to upgrade our pledge levels after the campaign ends? I personally do not know the answer to this question, but someone in our Discord, or if you go to our customer service, you can email them at support@koboldpress.com. They will be able to answer that question since they deal with the back end Kickstarter stuff. So yes, if you have a question, please go ping one of them. But if there aren't any other questions, I think we're good to. Hold on, I'm just looking. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, that is what it is. We have an early day, and you all have plenty of time in between now and the scouting party that comes out later, in just about an hour from now, where we will be talking about all of the backgrounds, talents, spells, heritages that you can find in the Player's Guide too. But before that, thank you so much, Sarah, for this. This was so good. I'm just gonna start writing adventure hooks for these spells.
Good, good, good.
Yeah. And let people know where they can find you and your stuff if they're interested in more of your design work.
Sure, yeah. You can find me. I have a website. It is unfetteredmuse.com, and it has a uh page on my page where it lists literally everything, all of my credits, my novel, my, all of my design work, video game work, everything. And then you can also find me, I'm usually on Blue Sky, also at Unfettered Muse, dot Blue Sky, so whatever, like
Yeah.
the blah blah blah. Those are my two primary places where you'll find me. So yeah.
Amazing. And thank you all so much for being here for another Kobold Chats. I've been Kendrick or Kendo, whichever you prefer. And I will see you in about, what did I say? Yeah, like 40, 50 minutes. Math is weird with time. But I will see you at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to watch Scouting Party and learn more. There's so many things in this book, Gal. There's so many things in this book. So, get ready for that, and we will see you then. But don't forget to go out, be bold, be brave, and be valiant. See y'all.
Bye.